Hello everyone, I'm Jaye Cottrill, the Global Marketing Communications Manager here at LaserTech. Every Tuesday around 2 p.m. Mountain Time, we go live with a subject matter expert and we talk about solutions in traffic safety or in professional measurement. You can join us on your coffee break. We are live for about 15 minutes. We're also live tweeting, so if Twitter is more your style, you can join us over on Twitter. If you have questions or comments for our guests or for LaserTech, please post them and we'll answer them either in real time or as the subject of another LTI Tuesday at 2 conversation. And today, I'm excited to spotlight Lori Powles, and she is our Human Resources Director. Hi, Lori.
Hi, how are you, Jay?
I am doing pretty well. Would you mind introducing yourself for the people who haven't met you yet?
Sure. I'm Lori Powles. I'm the Director of HR here at LTI. I've been with the company for almost 8 years, and I've been working in human resources for a lot more years than I would prefer to admit.
So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was the HR perspective of working during the pandemic. It's not a topic that we hear talked about a lot, and so I thought I'd tap you for some insider knowledge on that. So one of the first questions I had was, what is some of the challenges that LaserTech faced initially with the pandemic?
Sure. So the first thing I think the very first thing we faced was an interesting couple of days from a technology standpoint. So I think first, our IT department was fantastic in that we were already pretty prepared, having Microsoft Teams and some of the other programs being a lot of cloud-based stuff. So it made, once we got everybody home, relatively easy. But going through department by department, who had to be here, who didn't have to be here, wasn't a challenge. But before we could even do that, we first had to determine that we were a essential employer in order to even stay open and keep manufacturing. So we had to spend a good amount of time looking at the state rules because we needed to make sure we were adhering to everything within Colorado. So that was a real challenge. And then once we realized, yes, we did meet the credentials of being an essential business, partly because of who we support in police agencies and others, then we had to get letters to every person that needed to come in, whether they were coming in every day or just periodically. We had to get everybody home. We had to lock down the building. Once everybody got home, we had to make sure that they had online access and were able to get up to speed. So it was a pretty hectic couple of days. Not nearly as hectic for me as it was for IT, though.
They were champs through that. I know that they are. Because there was a lot of heavy lifting, especially for getting everyone home and getting everybody's computers configured properly. What were some of the unexpected things that you wouldn't normally think that was needed, that needed to change?
I think one of the things was, I think LTI does a pretty good job of communicating with its employees, but some of that typically happens in the knowing of how people are feeling and what's going on. You could feel more just from the atmosphere of the building and where the chatter was and where the chatter wasn't, where it normally was. So going from that to the remote communication and just having to communicate, I think, more detailed, more often. And then on the flip side of that, in the building, when you're not in your office, if you're in an open space, you have to wear a mask. And as we've all learned, from whether we were at the grocery store, the gas station, wherever you are, when talking to somebody through a mask, we all have to enunciate a little better to make our points.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably the biggest one.
Right. So how did the HR department specifically adapt to the communication changes, like the needs that you need to do with understanding what's going on with everyone?
So a couple of things we've done, we've switched to some online forms, such as we have a program called Pat on the Back. So when an employee goes above and beyond and helps out another employee or another department, doesn't have to be within the same department, you can thank them. And we acknowledge those champions, those people who did that above and beyond every month in our company meetings. So we had the challenge of, because normally we've done that on a paper form in the break room, people aren't here. So we were able to get that form electronically available to people, and since doing that, those PATs are definitely coming through. So LTI employees are still definitely helping each other out, but now we actually have a way to see that again. So the other thing was with the company meetings. Typically that was one day we would all gather in the big conference room together. Well, as we all know, those days are over for a while anyways. So we had to move those meetings to a format similar to this call. And actually, I think that's working well because it allows our remote employees to fully access those meetings. But that kind of led to some other challenges, some occasional technology challenges while having those meetings. But being prepared for that stuff, being able to still share the normal things we share, celebrate the anniversaries, that kind of stuff. So that was some of it. Realizing we don't need as many office supplies. We don't need as many birthday cupcakes once a month. All of those little fun things that also kind of fall under my area. The first month we had a lot of leftover cake.
But you did. But it was just recalibrating everything as you're moving forward. So now that we've been doing this for a few months, how do you think this is going to change businesses, not just our own, moving forward? Do you think some of these changes will be permanent?
I think they will. I think, for the past probably 2 years in the HR world, and I think a lot of places, there's been a ton of talk about life-work balance. And how do you manage that? And what do you do? And I hate to put labels on groups of people, but honestly, one of the, I think, positive things that millennials have really pushed for is that life-work balance, and not necessarily have to be at a desk from 8 to 5 every day. And businesses were trying to figure out how to make that work. I think the COVID through we have some flexibility in not all jobs, certainly. Okay, there are some people who products. Those that can, or in those times when they can, being able to work remotely, whether it's because you have a sick kid at home so you can work remotely and still be productive but take care of your sick child, or maybe you want to, maybe you have a ski cabin and you want to be able to drive up the hill Thursday to not fight traffic on the weekend. You're still going to work Friday, but knowing that you can work from your ski cabin off of your laptop, as long as you have a good internet connection, just gives you a leg. So I think those are some of the positives, giving people those kind of options. A lot of people, it's saving them a ton of money because they're not driving. They're not commuting. I'm still commuting. Most days I live close, but traffic is like it was 10 years ago. It is so much easier to get to and from work that people are happier.
Less road rage. There you go.
So I think those are all positives. That general flexibility. Challenge though is getting people to still turn it off. I think a challenge of working from home is next thing you know, you look up and it's 7 o'clock at night. Because you don't have to leave to beat that traffic or to get that hour drive home. So you have to remember to still have your life. So
I highly recommend having 3 children running in and out all the time to keep you on track with your happy life. So
that helps.
So for me anyway, that helps me remember to turn it off and move on into what needs.
Yeah.
So
it tends to be the 16-year-old looking for food.
Yes, that is usually my cue to turn things off. And so I get that. What do you miss most about the old office life?
The face-to-face interactions, going into the break room to get my tea and running into you or somebody else and just, how was the weekend? Or, oh, look at that cute skirt, or look at that, now I just got to rely on myself for fashion sense instead of being able to draw on others.
Right. How do you think we could replace that, or how can we change what we're doing to add in more of that water cooler feel?
I think That's a good way to do it. I know we've at LTI we've opened up a water cooler channel where people can, post those funny memes and things that maybe they would have shared verbally with people before. And luckily everybody's being professional about that too. But, I guess the old adage of the Zoom type happy hours could be a way to do that interaction, or maybe do a team lunch, even though you're not meeting, going out to lunch together. Maybe you all decide, let's have a meeting at noon and I'll just have lunch together like we used to do, but everybody's doing it from their own house or desk. Can help. I hope, sooner than later. I don't know what that soon time frame means. I don't think it means November 1st, but one of these days we will have the ability to come together again. At that point, I'd like to see things like maybe one day a week Marcom is in the office. Maybe not every day, or every so often you guys are here, so we can have some of those interactions, but you still can be effective and have that flexibility. So I think that would help. Or even those, once we get to that point, maybe we can all still meet up for a happy hour somewhere. Maybe it's just a little bit different.
As long as it's not snowing. Since everything is outdoors right now.
Yeah, a little chilly to go out to eat today.
Yeah, I would say so. So one question that I have asked every guest so far, and so you are not going to be an exception, is what is your favorite pizza topping?
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms?
Yep.
Anything else? Just mushrooms?
I usually do mushrooms and pepperoni, but I could do just mushrooms and be happy.
Okay. I know people who do not like mushrooms at all, so that would be highly controversial.
I'll pretty much take a pizza with anything on it except anchovies. I just pick off what I don't like. I'm the youngest of 8. You don't get to be a picky eater in a big family.
You just learn how to work around it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Lori, thank you so much for joining me today. Did you have any encouraging thoughts to leave with us?
I just think I would like to say that the LTI team has been amazing through this time frame. Both the people that are coming in every day and still working, and those who are just being so productive at home. I can't thank everybody enough. It makes my heart warm. I think we all come to LTI for a job, and we realize that we've just come upon something amazing. A group of people that genuinely care about each other, a leadership team that puts the employees first in every decision that they make. And it's a wonderful environment to be in, and it's so appreciative to have everybody, whether they're physically here in the building or doing it remotely, still keeping that in mind and doing their best to keep us moving forward.
Thanks. I'd like to thank everyone else who's joined us today for our Facebook Live. Any new questions that are posted here on the recording will be passed along by the marketing team. And looking ahead, next week on September 15th, we will be talking with Roosevelt Rogers, who is our Chief Revenue Officer, and we'll continue our conversation about some of the adjustments LTI has made during the pandemic. So until then, stay safe, everyone. Bye.